Alright, welcome back. Dedicated here. We're going to talk about the Elemental Shaman. Now that's my favorite class, and we have some changes coming up in 8.1, which I would like to try to find. Maybe I can pull it up really quick on MMO Champion as quick as I can and come to find it. But I could talk about some of the changes that are coming for sure, because I already noticed them right off the bat. So just first up, we can see that they changed Earthen Rage. It used to be here. They put it to the top, and what we lost was exposed elements or something like that, where your next lightning bolt after an earth shock would be 75% increased damage. So they took that away and they put it up here. They also took away high voltage or something like that, where like you had a chance to shoot off like 3 lightning bolt or chain lightnings depending on your mastery. So it would say like you had a half a chance of your normal mastery to proc another lightning bolt or chain lightning. So let's say our mastery is 36. If you had high voltage, you had an 18% chance to do another lightning bolt. Then they changed, right here was Earthen Rage, and they put Surge of Power here. So after your Earth Shock, you get to do like some of these moves have a buff on it. So Flame Shock applies to 2 targets, an additional target within 8 yards, which is kind of cool. It's kind of like helping you put Flame Shock and everything. I don't know when you'd use that. Maybe if you had 2 people instead of 3. 3 is good for chain lightning. 2 is better for earth shocks and flame shocks, as opposed to dropping earthquake and chain lightnings. Unlimited power, same. So they also, I think that's all they changed was actually this one, and this one. Oh, and they put Call of Thunder. Your maximum Maelstrom increased by 30. Your Maelstrom cost of earth shock and earthquake reduced by 10. Now I'm going to go through the talents you can choose and why you'd want to choose, how they pair together. So stay with me here. Now, Earthen Rage is good for, I would say, if you have a crit mastery build, because if your haste is kind of low and it takes forever to cast, at least the Earthen Rage is doing some damage in between. It's like automatic damage. It's kind of like a dot. So you can Flame Shock, start doing lightning bolts. Earthen Rage will be right there to increase your damage. Like, just do like a little bit of damage here and there. If it crits, it actually does considerable damage. It's not bad at all. DPS meters aren't running on the public test realm, so I can't show you exactly. Let me see if I can find the patch notes here. Nope. Okay. And right now, as you can see, I have crit, haste, and mastery are all about the same range, so you can kind of run any of the specs you want. But Echo of Elements is good if you're running a haste mastery build. We have no crit, where you want Lava Burst because they have 100% crit after you touch something with if Flame Shock is on it. They also increase Flame Shock damage by a good percentage, and they increase the duration from 18 seconds to 24 seconds. I read that somewhere as well. I'm going to try to pull it up right now. Yes, right here. Flame Shock sears a target with fire. They increase the damage. Okay, the initial damage is the same, but the dot has been increased by, I would say, from 150% of your spell power up to 210, and increased by another 8 seconds or 6 seconds. So that's good. And then, all right. So Elemental Blast. This is new because, right, it could always cause an overload depending on your mastery before, but this is a haste crit talent, in my opinion, because it's a cast, so you want to cast it quickly. You want it to crit because it doesn't have an auto crit on it, and the main thing is it says can cause an element or overload, which means it doesn't matter what your mastery is, it can shoot 2 of them out. They also change it to where you'll instantly get, if it does proc an overload, you will get 2 different stat increases as opposed to 1. So you can get crit, haste, mastery, crit. Before it might give you 2 of the same ones. So if you're running like a haste crit build, I'm really big on picking stats over item level, because this build really, these talents really do depend on what your stats are. So if you're running like a haste crit build, which I like haste crit, you can run anything with that build. This would be perfect for it. Now, how these next ones, okay, so if you run Earth Aftershock and it takes you quite some time to build Maelstrom, it would be really nice to have the refund of the Maelstrom on this, because you know, you're not gonna, if you drop an Earthquake or you hit it with the Earth Shock, it takes a while to get the Maelstrom back because of your slow casting time. So if you get this and there's nice little RNG, helps you out, you can drop 2 Earthquakes in a row. Sometimes I've dropped 3, which is fantastic. Now I did see somewhere that they were supposedly going to change Earthquake, and I don't know why I don't see it, but it was going to, I don't know where it's at, but they changed it to where I thought I read somewhere that there's a chance Earthquake will, why do they have Earthquake and then Earthquake again on here? Causes it for 8 yards. Occasion terminal break. Okay, so they had it a certain way, then they changed it, but it was gonna like drop Earthquake, and there's a chance to make your next Chain Lightning an instant cast. That would have been fantastic. That would have helped a crit mastery build. I think they took that out. Master of Elements. Now, you're not really depending on Lava Burst for your damage. It's a lot more Lightning Bolt. You know, Lava Burst just helps. It's mostly Lightning Bolt damage, and I'm going to tell you why as we get down the tree here. So it just helps that you shoot in an instant, you know, Lava Surge is Lava Blast, and then drop an Earthquake for mostly for AoE purposes. You hit a Chain Lightning, you do the Flame Shock and so on, you proc a Lava Surge, you shoot a Lava Blast, you might get an Earthquake, boom. If you proc Aftershock, another Earthquake, boom. You might hit another Lava Surge, hit Tab, hit a Flame Shock, hit a Lava Burst on them, hit a Chain Lightning, all that stuff, all the damage increased by 20%. And if you have Crit Mastery, it will definitely proc a lot of damage AoE wise very well. So Nature's Guardian, these like little healing ones right here, those are really up to you. We ain't talking about those. We're talking about how these 5 work together. Now Surge of Power, it says Earth Shock enhances your next spell cast within 15 seconds. So if you can Earth Shock back to back with something like Aftershock, so you can Earth Shock, and let's say your main damage is going to be Lightning Bolt pretty much, okay? And you will see what they do. Flame Shock, it jumps to additional target within 8 yards. Lightning Bolt, your next 3 casts will cause an additional elemental overload. This right here replaced High Voltage all the way, because no matter what, if you have really low mastery, Lightning Bolt will still proc an overload. So you can proc 3. You can do the original Lightning Bolt, the Lightning Bolt from overload from your mastery, and then another one from this Surge of Power. And it's the next 3. Now, if you proc 3, and then 3, then the 3, a lot of times you'll have an Earth Shock up by the time you cast those 3, and then you Earth Shock, and then your next 3 will have it again. When you have Aftershock, and you do that kind of stuff, sometimes you'll do, if you don't want your Maelstrom to be capped, and in between all that casting, you could stop for a second, hit another Earth Shock, but if you still have 3 casts to go on your Lightning Bolts with the mastery from Surge of Power, you could waste it on a Lava Burst, and that actually reduces the cooldown of your Storm Elemental by 6 seconds. If you're not running Storm, it actually reduces the Fire Elemental, which will change it right here, and you shall see. Boom, it says reduces the Fire Elemental by 6 seconds. So it's cool just to shoot that out there. I mean, why not? If you try to save it for like shoot your 3 Lightning Bolts, save that Aftershocked Earth Shock for the next ones, you'll probably have a Maelstrom cap, and that kind of sucks to be overflowing with that. You might as well just use it. Might as well just stop the casting Lightning Bolt, hit the Earth Shock, do the Lava Burst, go back to Lightning Bolt. You're more unlikely you would have procced a Mastery Lava Burst, and then you have the Surge of Power Lightning Bolts to go for your next 3 casts, and you'll get that Maelstrom back quite quickly. Now at the bottom, Unlimited Power, totally perfect for a Crit Mastery build. This is pretty much a lot of Crit Mastery stuff here. All works together. When your spells cause an elemental overload, you gain 2% haste. Combined with the Surge of Power Lightning Bolt, and also Aftershock with the Earth Shock, if you get it to proc, you proc Aftershock on Earth Shock, and then you can Surge of Power some more. Unlimited Power, the most I've got it up to was 8, which gives you 16% haste which is quite a bit. It sucks that it's only 10 seconds long, but if it was any more, you could possibly get it up to 10. That's 20% haste. That's a lot of free haste points. Like each haste takes, I think, 70 haste points. So each percentage of haste takes like 70 haste. So having 2 haste for just proccing something that you have that has a 36% chance is pretty good. It's like giving an extra 140 haste. Then the problem is you know, this build is not a bursty build. This is a build that's meant for, it's a long fight. It's going to take a little bit to ramp up your damage, but once it starts going, it gets it going, you know. So I'm going to show you real quick what you can do. They also changed before, if you lava burst, you'd have to have flame shock on a target for lava burst to crit, but they changed it to where if you shoot a lava burst and then do a flame shock, as long as it applied before the lava burst gets there, it will crit, which is good because when you're fighting mobs or questing, if you open up with a flame shock, it just starts to draw the mob to you. So it's better that you can actually cast a lava burst. Boom, you just saw right there it worked. Okay, so you could always open up with this to increase your damage and start lightning bolting away. I like to actually go back and forth between this. You can see I'm up to 3 elemental powers already. Okay, so Earth Shock, Lightning Bolt. We're gonna shoot. Oh, so now Lightning Bolt's gonna. And we'll do this again. So Earth Shock again, so we can Lightning Bolt. Lava Burst, so we can increase your damage to Lightning Bolt. Lava Burst again, increase the damage. Haste, unlimited powers at 2. Earth Shock, Lightning Bolt. We're gonna Lava Burst, increase the damage again. Lava Burst, increase the damage again. Do that last one there. Now, as you can see, damage is pretty good. It takes a while to get ramped up. If you're using something like an Elemental, it works very well. Okay, did not save Maelstrom's up again. See if I do that, I actually decrease this, but I already did it. So it does take some time. That's if you wanted to play this direction where it's pretty constant. A little bit of damage increased, Aftershock. Earth Shock does do a lot of damage. They actually reduced how much that damage that does. They might have changed it, but I'm pretty sure they reduced the damage of Earth Shock by like 15% or something. So it's a good instant cast because you have no haste. So getting Aftershock, proccing Aftershock to proc an Earth Shock is there's a lot of benefits there. So that would be like a crit mastery build, I would say. Now, if we come into this middle section here, I would say this is a lot of haste mastery build here. But I'm not going to. So if you had no crit at all, you could run Echo the Elements, which is 2 Lava Bursts, and it has a charge instead of a cooldown. Well, it has a cooldown still of 8 seconds, but it grants a charge when it goes. So Call of Thunder, your maximum Maelstrom increased by 30. And the cost of Earthshock and Earthquake reduced by 10. This pairs well with Storm Elemental, because if you see, you call a Storm Elemental instead of Fire one. The Fire one, every time you take your Flame Shock, it gives you like 3 Maelstrom or something. So you lose the Maelstrom gain from the Fire Elemental. But the Storm one, every time you cast Lightning Bolt or Chain Lightning while the Storm Elemental is active, it reduces the next cast time of those 2 abilities by 3%, stacking up 20 times. So you could get it down to 60%. Now, having fun with Unlimited Power, Bloodlust, and the Storm Elemental, I've gotten a Lightning Bolt cast down to 0.47 second, 0.3 seconds or something altogether. I mean, you just cast them so much. Now, you don't want to waste the 30 seconds that you have with your Storm Elemental, and it's proccing extra, especially if you have Surge of Power. So proccing extra Lightning Bolts very quickly with Mastery, and if you have Surge of Power up and you take a second to actually Earth Shock and go back to Lightning Bolting again while the Storm Elemental is up, you're going to create a plethora of Maelstrom, like way too much. So that's why Call of Thunder is great to pair with something like Storm Elemental, to where when it's out and active, you just concentrate on Lightning Bolting. It's kind of like a boss burner. I wouldn't personally. You could use it for AoE damage since I haven't chosen any AoE things here yet, but I like it for boss burning. Now, if you didn't want to run these two together, you could also make your elemental kick more ass by getting primal elementalists, so they do 80% more damage. The damage they do is quite good. They just do more damage. You can control things. I usually have 2 of their abilities on auto, and one of them you actually have to click on. Now, Stormkeeper before didn't increase the damage of your lightning bolts, and they become instant cast, but now it does by 250%. So, and chain lightning triggers on everyone. I don't think there's a spot where there's a place to practice AoEing. So this is good to do something like, I like Surge of Power with Stormkeeper, because if you Earthshock, Surge of Power, well, proc this, you hit Stormkeeper and hit a lightning bolt, it's like almost guaranteed that the first one's going to be increased by 250%, and you automatically proc a mastery, which would still have that increase in damage. So this is a great spec for, again, if you just like, it's actually a little more better damage than you could actually even run this one if you didn't want to, like, there's no reason to run so much Lava Burst. Lava Burst is really good for single target if Stormkeeper and Storm Elemental are actually on cooldown, and you want to, if you wanted to reduce the cooldown of your Storm Elemental, of course you can proc a lot more Lava Burst and get that cooldown back up or whatnot. Rotation wise, it's going to be all up in the air for mobs and such. Mob pulls, boss pulls. It's really going to be up. It's really RNG based. That's what Shaman is. Very RNG based, depending on what you want to do next. You know, if it's 2 people, you want to do Flame Shock. If you're running Surge Power after an Earth Shock, or it's really up to you how you're going to play. So you can even, like, this is like, you could do, like, it really depends on how you want to do it. I'm not going to say this is the best build you should go with, but this is how you can pair these together. And it does quite work. I mean, let's see. So we Lava Burst it, just a Lava Burst for fun. We're going to Lightning Bolt it. We're just trying to build some Maelstrom here to hit an Earth Shock. Now, as you can see, we're going to Stormkeeper it. There we go. You saw it firsthand. I still have this up, so I might as well Lava Burst the next one to get the cooldown on this. And there we have it. Now, my main goal when I actually play this is I want to try to get the target's dummy health down to 0, and it does happen. There we go. And he's gone already. I have gotten it to happen before. It didn't happen this time, but that's okay. So you could play with something like this, especially if you have no crit. You could try to run a lot more Lava Bursts. And you can pair with other things to where you can run a Haste Mastery style build. Even though this is like really good for crit mastery, it can also be good for Haste Mastery just by building up Earth Shocks. And to do Surge Power and things of that nature. You could run, I have like Haste Mastery just for Lava Burst, and you can pick certain things to make sure like it's mostly Lava Burst damage or something along those lines. Now we go to the last things on the right. We talked about Elemental Blast. This is really good for Haste Crit, like I said before. Now, Totem Mastery, the reason why you like to choose this one is because mostly it has everything you want. Maelstrom generates really good if you're not using things that cast and generate Maelstrom. Elemental Blast does not. So if you open up with that, you literally you open up with no Maelstrom to use for your Earth Shock. So you're not really crutching on that. You can drop some totems and you start generating Maelstrom right away. But you generate 2 Maelstrom, like 1 Maelstrom a second or whatever, but you also lose 2 Maelstrom every 2 seconds. So you have to be in combat for it to, like, start generating. Actually, if I do this, you'll see that it should start generating Maelstrom, and it is right there. Generating 8 Maelstrom like that is actually pretty good. It makes a difference. So let me put this up here. Let's see if it'll proc twice. And it did. Increase haste and mastery were increased on it. So now liquid magma totem. Whoops, I'm in combat. Let me do that. Liquid magma totem. The reason why this is, I am not things on. Okay, the reason why this is good for haste crit is because if you increase the if you increase your haste, it actually does all its damage. It actually ticks quicker. So the more haste you have, it'll shoot out a ball in smaller increments. And you want it to crit. It has nothing to do with mastery, so you don't need mastery for this to do more damage or whatnot. You want it to tick quicker, and you want it to crit. Haste crit, hands down for a liquid magma totem. Of course, Rain Rush, we don't talk about that. Ice Fury also has a chance to cause an overload. So because it's a cast, it's not a lava burst. You can run haste crit because it's a cast. So you want haste, you want it to crit because we, as Elemental Shamans, have special Elemental Fury where your crit strikes do 250% damage instead of the usual 200, which means it's something special that you want crit on your stuff. Even though crit's actually really good for AoE, they say versatility is better for single target, but I disagree. Not a big fan of versatility. So we'll do right here. You could open up with this, and you want haste too because it reduces the global cooldowns, and you don't have to see how there's like no casting involved. How does this have a 30-second cooldown? They went by pretty quick. Let me see. Elemental Blast. You can do all this stuff for instant damage. See right here, nothing procced right there, which kind of sucked. So again, we're like this. Okay, so now we have nothing. We might as well go into lightning bolts. This is oh, let me drop some totems. That's why. All right. So we're gonna drop totems. Let's start all the way over. Now Ascendance is definitely a haste crit build. Definitely haste crit because the damage increased on your lava burst by your crit chance. So once I pop it, the damage of lava burst will be increased by 23%. So mastery is fun to have right here, but the reason that you're not running like Echo of Elements and mastery is because you don't need to. The damage is going to be increased by your crit chance, and there's no cooldown. So it's not like you need two of them. I like this build a lot. This is the build I like to play. I find it the most, fun or whatnot. So I got my totems down. They look pretty cool. We're gonna open up with Elemental Blast into a Flame Shock, and we're gonna do this rotation kind of like around here, and then we're gonna pop Ascendance. The only problem with this spec is there's a lot of stuff you have to drop. Like, it's definitely, none of this stuff on a shaman is very bursty. Maybe Haste Mastery is a bursty, but this isn't bursty at all. You kind of have to drop a Totem, you gotta drop a Magnum, you gotta call out your Elemental, you gotta hit with the Flame, that will change. You're gonna shoot this stuff off, and you go like this, and then we like do stuff that you just instant cast because you don't have, why not? I like the instant cast stuff. Pop this off. Once everything's on cooldown and nothing's going on, we're gonna bust out. Oh, do this one more time. Nothing. We're going to Ascendance, and then you can just sit here and do this. You want a lot more haste, like 30% is pretty good, but you don't. Actually, I wouldn't even waste it on an Earth Shock, and then now you can start all this back up again. Anything that does like instant damage is cool. Okay, that's gone. So I don't have nothing left. I can Lightning Bolt, Earth Shock, Elemental Blast, drop the Totem again, hit a Lava Burst. I'm going to refresh the Flame Shock. Now I got nothing, literally nothing here. And we want this to crit anyway, so it's okay if we actually get stuck having to do a Lightning Bolt here and there. Actually, the damage is pretty good. This is like the most bursty if you can start it up, to be honest. 30% crit, mastery is up to 46%. So this is like my spec I like to run. If you wanted to run a haste crit build, this does very well. The damage I've done on my I'm 361 on my Elemental Shaman. My Frost Shocks, they've hit for, you know, well over 17k. But you got to run you have to run Master of Elements to hit that. So you don't really rely too much on like Chain Lightning and Lightning Bolt, which kind of sucks. You do when you go to attack multiple targets. If you wanted to AoE, it would be, in fact, you got to start up with Elemental Blast to proc some stuff, hit a flame, and then do Chain Lightning, and just do this, and then like keep going, and try to build enough. If there's, of course, there's 3 or more peeps, it does work much better. You kind of always want to keep your Elemental Blast up and your Flame Shocks ticking, and once you get enough, you should be able to proc Earthquake much quicker when there's a more mobs to shoot with Chain Lightning. So, but we all know that's the best way to AoE stuff is Chain Lightning, Earthquake, and we have Liquid Magma Totem, that just helps. Definitely if you have haste crit. 1 minute cooldown's cool. Like trying to pull, by the time, if you drop this in the beginning of a mob pool, by the time you do like Lightning Bolts and Earthquakes and get that going and the cooldown's gone, you already got stuff going. I feel like Shaman is a ramping style class where everything has to try to ramp up. So let me see anything else that has changed. Aftershock, Chain Lightning, Earthquake, Elemental Shaman, they reduce some damage or something by 2%. Lightning Lasso does a little bit more damage now. I have Lightning Lasso on, but I guess I'm not in a PvP area. Master of Elements, no, that's what they put here. There, I mean. And Surge of Power, yep, already read into that. I think that's it. Restore, return. Base mana. Oh, okay, so they increased Healing Surge healing by 10% or so. 9%, and they reduced the base mana cost of it by 1%. So that's cool. Of course, so if you wanted to run this, there's nothing wrong with running the elementals as well instead of Ice Fury if you don't have that much haste. It really just depends. Again, coming to the end of the video, it really just depends on what your stats are. If you build around your stats, you'll at least do considerable damage. I would say don't build around a lot of casting if your haste is not that high. Like mine, like I have like 16 crit or something and like 5 haste and like 41 mastery or something down. That's just how my gear tends to play out. So I should build the spec around what my stats are to maximize damage, because if I try to build this spec over here, which I do like, the damage is pretty good. If I run a crit mastery build, this is very lacking. I can't rely on Elemental Blast to up all my stats and everything, like haste and junk. This is only 2% haste. So you really want to figure out where your strong points are in your stats and then spec in that way, and you'll thank me for it. So go out there, try hard, try to get your try out these talents and see which ones you like to play with or you think is a better rotation. Having all this extra stuff here on your talent, on your bars, does create a harder rotation. If you do it right, you should always have Elemental Blast up, or Ice Fury, or an instant Lava Burst, and you fill the voids with Frost Shocks and Earth Shocks. But you want those to crit, definitely. Earth Shock's like one of the hardest hitting moves. You want it to crit for sure. Frost Shock with 100% damage increase from Ice Fury does a lot of damage. I'm very bursty in this spec. I like it, especially for killing mobs and stuff, but long fights, it kind of sucks if you're not critting. So you're not even really like lightning bolting or lava bursting that much. It's much different. This is where your single target damage is massively increased, AoE damage, single target, everything, stat increase, and it actually does more damage than lava burst. It does like 10% more damage. So that's it for this video. For the up 0.1 changes coming out for now as of October 11th. They might change along the way, and if they do drastically change, we'll do another video on that, on what to do from then on out. Sorry I can't really show you an AoE style rotation, since I don't want them. I don't like how the. I think that's normal. Yeah, it is. So. Okay. No, I was gonna say I don't like how the camera does this on PTR, but I think that's normal. There's no real AoE dummies to practice on here, so I can't show you the AoE stuff. But we all can still, you know, you start off by whichever spec you want to, like, just get it going. You can Stormkeeper into Chain Lightnings into Earthquake. I like to Flame Shock stuff, and you just go from there. So thank you so much for watching. Catch you in the next one. Don't hit a thumbs up on that if you like the video. Don't forget to comment down below if you agreed, disagreed, like these changes, don't like them. Tell me what you think about the talents or how to rotate stuff and what your stats are. I'd love to hear it. Let's talk about it. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more WoW videos, because that's what we're doing now. And see you in the next one.